Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez. Hey, Parker, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Paul?
I'm
What's
doing
up?
excellent. I'm doing excellent. I'm glad to finally have you on. And it's I guess you're an official college graduate now.
I
Congratulations.
am. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Something I never got a chance to do because I just jumped right into the whole family thing, and we kind of talked about that a little bit.
Hmm.
So for those that don't know, and I imagine most of you watching do, Parker was my original guest host or co-host, I should say. Actually, you were the lead host. I was the co-host
That's right.
on the Dynamite show on the Fight Game Media Network. Um, Cheap plug here. Patreon.com/Fight Game Media. And the YouTube channel as well. So yeah, it's nice to have you on here again. You were probably if it wasn't for you, I say this to like half my guests. I might not be doing this because there's different people that have different parts in it. So it's good to have you on. We used to do audio, now we're doing video. This is cool. Um,
Yeah, this is
so
great.
so young Parker, we became friends over the last year. We did a show with David Lovell, celebrating the death, I should say, of Brody Lee about a year ago, and that kind of started our friendship, I guess. And yeah, and we've had so I kind of learned to discover you're like a massive wrestling fan in addition to being a teacher now. And so what got you into wrestling, and specifically, like I know you've talked like CM Punk's your favorite. Anybody that's listened to our show knows that. But what got you into finding all this like different wrestling that you cover and that you watch?
So I just was a fan as a kid, like so many other people are. I think most wrestling fans start as a kid, generally speaking. Um, I was like you said, I was a huge CM Punk fan. He was my guy growing up, and then I I kind of got out of it when I first started college. I didn't really pay that much attention to it until about the time that New Japan started getting all these really rave reviews in the Observer with like 5-star matches, and especially the Omega match, the Omega Okada match at Wrestle Kingdom that got 6 stars. That was such a big deal, right?
When was
So that was
that?
really what
2015?
that was 2017, actually. I
Oh
believe
wow.
January
Okay.
2017. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was really what sort of got me into trying out new things. And then, I mean, you see new stuff, and then you're like, oh, okay. So these guys like Omega wrestled a lot in DDT and All Japan, and Okada has always been New Japan. But you start to see where people came from, and you realize that there's great wrestling from all around the world in all different styles and all different promotions. And that's kind of my what keeps me going. I always see something new. My favorite style is I don't even think people realize this. I love lucha libre above anything else. It's just kind of not very exciting right now, unfortunately. But there's so much great stuff out there. Special shout out to lucha libre and Joshi as kind of my real favorites.
Yeah. So, and again, it's oh yeah, like for you, like you're finding all this like obscure stuff, that I've been a wrestling fan my whole life, and I wouldn't even think to look this up. And I mean, I'm calling it obscure, but there's an audience for this, and it's
Mhm.
growing. I see the engagement that you get with your Twitter followers, and and they kind of rely on you, and they're watching this stuff too, and it's like this community.
Mhm.
And there's people from Japan that it sounds like you're communicating with, and
Mhm.
I know you even pointed out like at one point you were talking to something like people from like I don't know what it was, like 20 different countries. Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how many people from around the world are my followers, but it really shows, I think, maybe this is cliche, but the global reach of pro wrestling. Like I have followers from Ukraine and
yeah.
Turkey and South Asia, like Pakistan and India and Chile and all these places, Jamaica of all places, like of all people who we all just follow wrestling and really enjoy it, and a lot of it specifically Japanese wrestling. But yeah, I think that's just so cool that I can tweet something about the upcoming All Japan show where they're going to crown a new Triple Crown champion, and I'll have people from around the world who are like, "Oh, I'm excited for that too, and I'm looking forward to it too." So I just think that's so cool.
Well, I think what's the key is that, like, some people talk about like follower counts, and this is like a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, because to me it's not so much about the amount of people that follow you, it's about the kind of engagement that you have with those people. And like I've got like over twice as many followers as you, and yet like I don't get hardly any engagement from my followers. So I don't know, like, and they're not fake followers, they're real followers, but I just think, like, those people, maybe they follow me, but they're just not terribly interested in what I have to say. Whereas you, they are, because, like, when you say something, like, people answer you and you have conversations, and I think that's cool. And so for me, like, it's something that I kind of want, but I also kind of dread, um, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, no, the protected Twitter account is what makes it for me. Being on like private
Are
is
you
kind
doing that
of
now?
yeah, I've been on
Oh,
private for like 6 months now, and I don't
okay.
have any. Yeah, so and I'll only accept people if I like know that I have mutual followers with each person.
So did you lose followers when you did that?
I have lost about probably about 100 followers
Okay,
since I
that's
did
not too
that,
bad. But
but
you got a lot less crap you're dealing with.
yeah, exactly. I
Okay.
was just so tired. Like you can't tweet any. If you get the reality is the engagement is nice because it means that you have a lot of fun people to talk to. But on a certain level, like if it gets retweeted, people will tweet like will just take anything
Yeah.
you say and twist it and like try to start an argument. I was also tired of getting like people, you used to do like live reports for F4W, right? And I still
Oh
do
my
Dynamite,
goodness. Yeah.
and people will always find a problem with that. Like a guy who told me to off myself for not knowing the name of the blonde interview girl from NXT. I was like,
I
dude,
I
it's like not that
remember
real.
I remember somebody who was criticizing you because you didn't like a match enough, even though you liked the match.
It
And
was
it
yeah.
was
I know what you're talking about. It was
yeah.
Archer and Phoenix from last year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so, yeah, and it was like, I think it was like, I wanna say it was, I don't wanna call this person out, well, I don't really care if I call the person out, like Toru Yano's Stan
It
account or
was
something.
yeah. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
yeah.
and he's got, like, a ton of followers and, like, gets, like, I'm like, "What kind of losers follow
Like,
this person?"
dude, it's like it's just
You
a
know?
match, bro. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's why sometimes I'll tweet like stuff that is a little controversial or like it's mostly just in jest and joking. But the reason I have it, I originally protected my tweets because I was student teaching, and obviously you
right.
don't
Yeah,
necessarily want a public Twitter account for that. But it allows me to sort of like vent a little bit without having to start an argument with somebody, which is not my intention. I'm really not trying to bother anybody online or be like a problem.
yeah.
I'm just kind of trying to joke around and talk about wrestling. So I think I'm really happy with the way I have it now. I still have lots of really fun people to talk to, even though I'm not getting retweeted into spaces that I don't necessarily want to be retweeted into.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and I've got a few people that are, I guess you'd say famous, that follow me. So every once in a while they'll retweet something,
Mm.
and all of a sudden, I'll wake up one morning and I've got, like 800 notifications. And it's like, okay, somebody retweeted something, but I don't really get the negativity. But again, like, I think I'm pretty tame on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not gonna be controversial. I'm gonna be very measured in what I say. Whereas you, like, I mean, like, I some of the stuff you've tweeted, like, well, there was one. I don't know the exact phrase, but it wasn't too far off of what Sammy Guevara said that got him in hot water. Um,
Oh,
you know what I'm
yeah,
talking
it
about?
was no, yeah, and again, that is just joke so far, like
I know.
internet speak, joking around, where it's
Right, and
like,
you're joking, but
yeah,
people take
of
stuff. So
course,
when you have a
I
protected
know.
account, you're not gonna have that stuff taken out of
Yeah,
context.
it definitely makes me feel like I can just kind of, I pretty
Yeah.
much trust everybody who follows me to not be like annoying about it, that I can make jokes and people aren't gonna like fall for my head,
It's
which is
kinda
pretty
like
much
our
all I want.
Facebook group,
Yeah, our
most
Facebook
of the
group is
time.
great.
Yeah, it's getting a little big now, and sometimes stuff, gets shared outside the group which it shouldn't. But,
Yeah.
like, I feel safe in there. Like,
No,
I
I
can
love the Fight Game
yeah.
Facebook group. I think that's a great place to talk wrestling
Well, and not just wrestling. Like, I
or
mean,
just anything. Yeah, people are
I can
super.
share stuff in there
Yeah.
that I wouldn't put on my public timeline just because, I got family on there. I've got
Mhm.
friends, as you don't want your students looking you up and stuff.
Right.
You mentioned that.
People are
Yeah.
super amenable and just willing to talk things out. And
Mhm,
it's rarely like it's almost always like if somebody disagrees with you, they're willing to
mhm.
have a discussion about it and talk about it. And it's a really great place.
You
Yeah.
get upset. I shouldn't say you. I do occasionally, but not like terribly upset. And I'm usually over it, within a couple
Hmm.
hours.
Yeah.
And what I'll do sometimes. Okay, so you're drinking Diet Coke? Yeah, I got water today. I do have a
Mm,
coffee, but it's in the other room. I should have
I got
brought it.
Diet Coke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in a new place and I haven't set up a coffee machine or anything like that yet. So
So you're in Iowa?
I just last week moved to Chicago.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I'm currently actually in an Airbnb right now.
Okay. Are
Um,
you going to are you going to Dynamite in 2 weeks?
I'm thinking about, well, that's the thing because I cover it live, and I did ask for one off a couple weeks ago because I was on vacation. I don't really want to do it again. It'd be cool to go live, but they come to Chicago all the time, so I'm sure I'll see them at some
Well,
point.
I mean, like if you I could cover for you if you want to go.
Maybe I'll ask around, but to
Yeah.
be honest, I'm completely fine. I'm trying to
Oh,
save money
but you
too.
might be able to get
And
comped. I
oh, that'd
sent
be
you that I
nice.
sent you that information about
You
who to
did.
contact. Yeah. And I mean,
Okay.
I don't imagine there's going to be a ton of demand for random Dynamite.
Hmm.
It's on my birthday and
Oh, it's your birthday.
yeah, and I really wanted to go. And I mean, I technically could. Like my daughter's going to be double vaxxed by then and and I think the problem is if I go across the border I have to get a PCR test to come back and that's like 180
Mm,
bucks. But it's a one
yeah.
day drive and a one day drive back, better part of a day, or I can fly. It's like a 6 hour flight because we have to transfer in Montreal, believe it or not. Like,
Oh,
so I mean, it's like a
what
six
an
hour
annoying
flight
way.
or a
Yeah.
12-hour drive. I
I'd
might as well
almost
just
rather drive. Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
and I could really like I could leave first thing in the morning, like get up at like 5, drive, get down there in time for the show, get a hotel, just drive back the next day. I like driving. So I mean that's
Hmm.
I'm really toying with the idea of doing that, and my wife might actually let me do it because it's my birthday.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. You should
yeah, but
think
if I
about it.
do it, it's going to be a last minute thing. And
No, what I'm loving about Chicago in terms of wrestling is there's just so much more indie wrestling here. I
yeah.
went to the GCW show last weekend here in
Oh wow.
Chicago. It was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed the
Is that the one
show.
Jeff Jarrett showed up at?
Yes, Jeff Jarrett was there.
Okay.
He smashed a guitar over Ali Catch's head. Um, Jeff
He's
Jarrett's
my
got this
favorite.
weird. He's got this character going on right now. He's essentially the Undertaker, where he comes
Jarrett?
out. Yeah, he comes out. He doesn't say a word. He has like full on black garb on, and like the hat and everything like that. And he's just dragging a guitar behind him, and he just stood in the ring. He smashed the guitar over Allie Catch's head, and then he sort of drags her around with it, and then he just walks off, and like scary music plays. And that was like the whole segment.
That is so bizarre.
It's so
Like in
strange.
2022, that Jeff Jarrett is being, the Undertaker. Like
Yeah,
I just don't get it. But yeah, he is totally one of my favorites like of all time, believe it or
nice.
not.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was really cool to see him. There were lots of great matches. I'm thinking of going. So this weekend, I have two choices. I'd like to go to a show on Saturday. There's either here in Chicago, there is a Galli Lucha, which it's just local lucha. In fact, everything is in Spanish. I think it's targeted mostly towards like native Spanish speakers, but obviously I can go to that. They have like a ton of great lucha libre on it. Like Aramis, if you've ever heard of him, will be on the
Yep.
show.
Yep.
Tejano will be on the show. It's just really small.
Oh,
It's like 100 seat venue, so I'll be really close, and you get to meet everybody too. By the way, I was able to meet everybody at that GCW show, and
really?
yeah, it was really cool to just meet everybody. The Briscoes were super nice. I talked to Ninja Mac, if you've heard of him.
Nope.
He's going to well he's interesting because he's like this insane athlete who like still barely knows how to wrestle. And he's gonna go to Pro Wrestling Noah at some point, which is exciting. But then the other show this weekend is in South Bend, um, is Warrior Wrestling, which I've been to Warrior Wrestling shows before, and the main event is Will Ospreay versus Brian Cage for the
Oh
Warrior
my.
title, which is a big time match, right?
Yeah.
So I That's only about an hour and a half away, so
You're
I'm
not the
considering going to
biggest you're
that
not the
one
biggest
too.
Brian Cage fan, but, I'm sure you wanna see Will Ospreay
It
live.
would be. I'm sure that match would be fantastic.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to see. So those are on the same night. The Gali show is cheaper and closer, but it'd be really cool to
Did
see
I ever
Will
tell you about
Ospreay.
the time I met the Briscoes?
No.
Okay, so this is WrestleMania weekend in Dallas, 2016,
Okay.
and I got a friend who, he knows a lot of, the ROH crew. In fact, like, he trained with them. He's even done some work, like, he's done some extra work and stuff, and he's, like, he does fitness work, and he's, like, got them all, like, doing different diets and stuff like that, right? So,
Oh, I
anyways,
think I have an idea of who it is. Anyway, go ahead.
okay. Yeah, so he
Yeah, yeah.
he invites me to this party at, the hotel that the ROH wrestlers were staying in. So I get to this party and I'm there and I'm like the only non-wrestling person there. But he's introducing me and everyone's super nice. Kyle O'Reilly was really nice.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, Bobby Fish was stoned out of his mind. But he was cool. So anyways, the Briscoes come in and Mark is sitting on the couch across from me, and he's being pretty civil, but he's like talking to me if I ask him something, but I wasn't like trying to keep to myself. I was having conversations with damn, who's the guy who is he tagged with Rex Titus, and they were like they had dogs in their name. He was kind of almost like a jobber,
Is it
smaller guy, like,
oh gosh.
yeah,
Uh
drawing a blank. Anyways, this guy, whoever he was super nice.
mhm,
And this was before, like, he was just a jobber at the time, but he ended up
mhm.
getting a bit of a push shortly after this. But anyways, so Jay Briscoe walks in, and then I introduce myself, and I say, "Oh, my name's Paul Fontaine," and then he looks at me and he says, "I'm sorry, Paul Fontaine, but who the bleep are you?" Like that, like, except he didn't say bleep. And he, like, looks at me like he's gonna kill me. Like, "Why are you here? I don't know you." And then, my friend, he kind of, he just says, "Yeah, you know what? He's with me. He's cool. Don't worry about it." And then he just kinda looked at me, glared, and just went, off and did his own thing. And, yeah, it was really cool. Later in the night, Christopher Daniels walks into the room, and he's dressed like super nice, and he's got like a six pack of this like beer that is like it's not just like Michelob or Bud or whatever. It's like this
Mhm.
high end beer, and he drops it in the center, and he goes, "You know what, boys?" He says, "I'm gonna call it an early night, but I just wanted to you guys enjoy, have a great time. I'll see you in the morning." And he walks
That's
out.
nice.
He's
I
in there for
love
like
it.
30 seconds, and he drops off a
That's
six
great.
pack. Yeah,
That's a cool move. I like
it was
that.
kind of cool. Yeah, and then Adam
Oh.
Cole and Roddy and a few others walked in shortly after that, and they went into the other room. Like, I never even talked to them, and
Mhm.
I heard they were doing some other stuff, and and then I left, and then about an hour after I left the party, Razor Ramon and
Oh,
Paige show up, and
really?
apparently Paige got totally wrecked. And this is like she was there at like 4 in the morning, and she had a match the next day at Mania. So it was, yeah, yeah, so it
Wow.
was, and I missed that, so I felt stupid about that, but it was late and I'm old and I had to get home, so yeah, but I mean, it's cool that you got to meet them and they were super nice, and, I would have loved to meet Jeff Jarrett. I met him at WrestleCon as well, but I mean, it was, I paid to get a picture with him, kinda thing.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, him and Karen, super nice, got a
Mm.
great picture with them. I'm such a Jeff Jarrett mark, it's not even funny.
Yeah, it was I think because of his character, he wasn't at like the meet and greets or anything like
Okay,
that. So yeah, he was I think he just pretty much showed up, did his thing and left.
yeah.
Which I think he's earned that at this point. But yeah, I'm trying to think who else would um let's see. Bandito was super nice.
Oh, yeah,
Bandito struggles with English still, so it was kind of hard
okay.
to communicate, but he was really nice. Um Mike Bailey and Tony Deppen were chill. Tony Deppen has me blocked on Twitter, unfortunately.
Bailey's kinda
But
weird, eh?
yeah,
Kind
he's
of
kind
a
of a
kind of a weird
yeah,
duck.
he's really just sort of intense at all times. I think he's just like on Adderall or maybe something more. But
I
yeah, it
saw
was really cool.
I saw 2 four-star matches yesterday that I think were four-star matches, so you may
What
wanna
was
check
that?
out.
Was one of them A Kid versus Noam Dar?
Yes, that was one,
Okay.
and the other one was crap. It was from Impact.
Was it Jonathan Gresham and Steve Macklin?
It was, yeah. And I was going like 3.5, maybe 3 3/4 until the finish. The finish was incredible.
Nice. I'll
So
have to check that out.
yeah, you
I
probably won't
really
rate him quite that high, but I bet you're gonna rate him pretty high.
I did
Like,
watch. I actually watched because I'm such a fan of A Kid. I think he is
yeah,
like the best guy in NXT UK, even more so than like Dragonov.
Ben Carter's
Um,
right up there, or whatever his
yeah,
name is
yeah,
now,
yeah,
Nathan Fraser.
yeah. So I watched that live because I'm such a fan, and
Okay,
I did give that 4. I thought that was a
really?
great
Okay,
match.
cool. I
Yeah.
love that, like, I love the format of that, because you never know what they're gonna do.
See,
Sometimes
it's
they go 2
funny
straight
because
falls, sometimes you have 1 fall in the whole match, sometimes they go to a draw. Like, you can't predict it.
it's funny because
It's
I usually actually don't really like the format. I thought
Oh,
some of
okay.
like the bait matches I didn't love as much as a lot of people did, but I thought the way they worked it this time was like really unpredictable. You really, like you said, I had
You
no
have no
idea
idea.
how any one round was going to go or anything like that. So that was great.
Doar is
Um,
such a great heel.
yeah, and I see. I don't watch NXT UK regularly, so
Okay.
I don't know the act with him. And like, was that Shaw Samuels at ringside? I
Yeah.
don't really
But I mean,
get,
even though you
you
don't
know.
watch it, you can tell just by watching that
Oh
match.
yeah,
Like, he's such a
absolutely.
dickhead.
Yeah, and
And yeah.
A Kid can never be a heel. So yeah, that
No,
was a great
no.
match. And then no, but talking about Gresham and Macklin, I got comments on both of those guys. Gresham was at the show, at the
Okay.
GCW show. So Too Cold Scorpio, he faced Too Cold Scorpio.
Oh,
Scorp
wow.
has been doing this indie run for the last couple of years, and it's been like really well received. And I haven't really agreed. He can still do all the flips and everything, but he gets like super gassed and does a lot of like resting and stuff like that, which is understandable. He's an older guy. But I thought Gresham did a really good job with Scorpio. This is like the best Too Cold Scorpio match I've seen since he was in like Noah. So that was great. And then on Macklin, I was always a bit more of a believer in the Forgotten Sons, excluding Jackson Riker,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
than a lot of people. And so I'm really happy to see him succeeding in Impact because I thought his match with who who did he face at the pay-per-view?
I
Uh,
didn't
was it Trey?
yes,
He
yeah,
faced
'cause
Trey.
he's the
Yeah,
champ, right? Yeah, he's the ex-champ.
yeah.
I didn't watch the pay-per-view, but yeah, it was
Oh,
definitely
so
Trey.
I
So
thought his
he's
match
lost
with
2 in a
Trey
row
was
now.
great.
He was unbeaten for a year, and now he's lost twice in a row.
Oh,
So,
well, they're
spoiler
big
alert.
matches, I suppose. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I knew Gresham wasn't losing that one. But so I've been really impressed with Macklin in Impact. I just think he brings such great intensity, and he's willing to like do some pretty death-defying stuff with like that spear outside of the ring, and it's yeah, he's been really
When is
impressive to me.
the
So I'm looking forward to that.
when is the Observer Awards ballot due? Do you know? I haven't done mine yet. It just occurred to me because
I think it's due. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna vote for Macklin for most improved, either him
Oh,
or
that's a good
W.
choice.
Morrissey. Yeah. Uh,
I think it's due pretty soon. I actually
okay.
am not going to do it. It's like too much of a hassle for me to go
Yeah.
through it. But I did do a Twitter space the other night with some people, and we sort of went
Oh,
through the
cool.
awards and what we'd pick. So yeah.
For me it's always hard, but I kind of been formulating the picks in my head, so I kind of
Mhm.
know what I'm gonna pick anyways, and then the ones that I don't, I kind of wing it, you know. But
Yeah, I ignore all the MMA awards
well, the
and
rookie of the year
throw this
one is
out.
the one that really gets me because I don't understand how Daniel Garcia isn't eligible for rookie of the year, and he should be winning it. Like,
I don't
but
understand how Dante Martin isn't. Dante Martin wasn't listed, and so the cutoff date is from September 1st, 2020 to
yeah.
September 1st, 2021, and Dante Martin did not debut in AEW until October 2020.
So I
And
think Dave is claiming that he was already doing, like, and same with
he was
Daniel
in
Garcia. Like,
Chikara. I guess he did like
yeah, like that's
Chikara.
not a
Does that
major
count?
company.
But
I'm sorry, and
I don't
same
know.
with Daniel Garcia. I guess he did some PWG stuff, but
Yeah,
he wasn't. Nobody knew who he was before he started in AEW.
no.
I
So
mean,
I
it
don't know.
was right around that time he was starting to get hot. He did some work in Canada in
Hmm.
2019. I saw him having an awesome match with Speedball Mike Bailey
Oh, I
in
bet that match was awesome. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah, it was. I was trying to find a link to it, but I don't think they put their stuff up on YouTube. But it's IWS on the Fight Network here, International Wrestling Syndicate from Montreal. So they
Okay.
get some pretty cool indie stuff on there. Not so much now with the border restrictions and everything, but this was just before COVID. And then he had that car accident and he was out for a while, right? And then
Yeah, he
yeah,
had that
yeah,
car
then he
accident.
came
There's like
back. So
other wrestlers there. Yeah.
yeah. So okay, so you're some other stuff. I want to talk to you a little bit about music. What kind of
Okay.
music are you into? Like you have some like you're posting about hip hop and stuff like
Mhm.
that, but you don't really seem like a hip hop guy to me.
I really am a hip hop. I listen to a lot
Okay.
of stuff. I don't post about music all that often because I don't
Okay.
think it's that interesting to like talk about, if that makes sense. Like
No, I
just in
get you.
terms of like because it's so for me. So okay, let me step back a little bit. I actually, when my first run at Drake, when I was in the journalism program, I had a weekly music review column in the
Oh wow.
newspaper,
Okay.
where I would review whatever came out that week. So I'm a huge music guy. And I'm it's a cliche to say that you listen to everything. I think a lot of people say they listen to like they'll I'll listen to anything, but they don't really mean it. I really do try to listen to a lot of different stuff depending on whatever circumstance I'm in. Now that I'm kind of busy, and so I don't really get a chance to like really engage with music as much as I want. So I kind of stick to what I'm going to enjoy either at the gym or on like a long car on a long drive or something like that. So I'll do a lot of hip hop. I'll do a lot of metal, like kind of upbeat metal that like fast paced. I do like pop music as well. I think that can be really fun, both domestic and
Depends.
foreign. Yeah.
I
So
was trying to look
yeah.
here because you talk about people that like everything. And so when I'm looking at some of the artists that I've searched for on Apple Music recently, and this, so I'll search and then I'll just do the create station gimmick
Yeah.
and listen to whatever comes up. So I'm looking at I got Whitney Houston, Mister, Kid, uh,
Kid, there you go.
yeah, Patti LaBelle, Michael McDonald, James Brown, Climax, Lil Durk,
You looked up
Lionel,
Lil Durk?
yeah, oh yeah, Lionel
Lil
Richie.
Durk was born about a quarter mile from where I'm currently located.
Oh wow,
So,
Juice World, Polo
oh,
G, yeah, Sheena Easton, Night Ranger. So I do listen to everything.
that's
Um,
eclectic. I
I
like it. I'm surprised at the amount of modern rap music.
I
I think
so
that's
what I
good.
do is I will pull up the Billboard Top 100 and
Mm,
whatever's new, I will listen. And I don't love all of it, but I do
mhm.
try to like. I love like The Weekend.
I did. I loved his album that just came out.
I love Polo World, or Polo G, I should say, and Juice
Mhm,
World. Like I do love those, and so as I get to know them, like I'm listening to the other stuff, and then some of the assorted, the associated acts that will come up, and
mhm.
I love a lot of the female rappers, like or
Oh,
hip hop, yeah, like Nicki and
Nicki Minaj, Meg The Stallion,
Megan
people like
Stallion, I
that.
love, yeah, and my daughter loves the females especially, so
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I mean, we listen to that stuff together, and then like I was just listening to before we start recording. I was listening to a '90s country show that David Lovell
There
posted.
was that David. Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
and that was great too. Like at that time in the '90s, I was super into country. So I don't really listen to any new country. That's probably the one genre I don't listen to right now of new
Mhm.
stuff. But I'll listen to like soul. I love soul music, Motown. You know,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's eclectic. I'm in a similar boat talking about country. So I'm from a town of 9,000 in
yeah.
Iowa. I'm from a very small town. And growing up, all anybody listened to was country music. So I have like a big baseline of country that I listen to. I'll listen to like modern alternative country. I don't really listen to like radio country
So when you
anymore.
talk about
Um,
alternative, like what kind of
Maybe like
stuff?
if you know
Mumford
like
Sons and
Jason, more like Jason Isbell, if you know who
okay,
he is. Like Sturgill Simpson.
okay.
He was nominated for a Grammy a few years ago. He's probably the most well known. But yeah, just stuff that's like not typical radio, like you know what I'm talking about, like the stuff that's stereotypical kind of country. I don't really get into that as much.
Have you ever heard of the
Yeah,
Sheepdogs?
I have not heard of the Sheepdogs.
Hang on, let me see
I'll
if
have to
this will
look that
work.
up.
Hang on. Oh, you know what? I think I'm on. Can you hear that? I don't want to get
A little
kicked off.
bit. Yeah, I was gonna say the Sheepdogs were the first unsigned band to make the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. This is very much like
yeah. So check that out.
retro. Yeah,
Yeah.
retro soul, southern
But
country rock.
that's not
Yeah.
that old. Like, that was 2011. So,
Yeah, like retro,
yeah,
retro
yeah.
in the
Yeah,
when
the
it came out, it
sound.
was
The
retro.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
if you look at a picture of them, you'd think it was a band from the 70s.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I
Kinda like
really like
kinda
them.
like Allman Brothers a little bit, maybe a
Yeah, yeah.
little
My daughter kind of
CCR.
turned me on to them. She's a big country
Oh,
fan, and
that's
yeah, so
cool.
she likes the Sheepdogs, and so she'll hear something and she'll say, "Oh, you'll like this," and then she's almost always right.
So
So,
you're mentioning, like, clicking at finding an artist and turning on a
yep.
station. I'll do that for a few specific artists if I'm trying to get into a mood. If I'm really trying to just, like, relax for a little bit, I will put on, um, uh, Parliament Funkadelic
Oh,
and
wow.
put their station on. That's, like, my favorite music to kind of tune out, to, and, I really enjoy that. If I'm driving around and I don't really know what to play, I'll usually put on, like, just, wherever I'm located. If there's, like, a local rapper from there, I'll put on a station, and there's obviously a ton of rappers from Chicago that I enjoy. Chicago rap, Chicago drill is like a subgenre of Chicago rap, and it's pretty much my favorite style of rap music. So yeah.
So if you want a recommendation, which you didn't ask for, but maybe I'll give it to you anyways. Hang on. I want to bring this up because I'll give you. Okay, so there's an album. It's from 2000. And just listening to what you said, I think you'd like this. Discosis by
Discourse.
Bram Vam 3000. Have a listen to
Interesting.
that, and I think you'll like it. Let me know what you think. Like, off air,
Hmm.
it's a Canadian band. They had Drinking in LA was probably their biggest hit, but this was after that. And Rolling Stone actually did an article on it when it came out and said it was like, they called it like the album for the new millennium, and I don't think it ever got to that point. But I bought the album without hearing a track on it, and not even being that big of a fan of Drinking in LA, just based on reading that article, and I loved it. Like, and
Interesting.
yeah, so yeah, let me know. Listen, and let me know what you think.
I like
And
it.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So we should probably wrap this up. I told you I was going to keep you around 30 minutes, and we're just over that right now. And I've actually got we had a blizzard, and I got to go pick up my
Ooh.
kid and drive him somewhere. So I want to give myself a little bit more time. I was going to leave at noon as we're recording this, and yeah, and this will so this you'll be watching this probably on Fight Game Media Facebook group. So not on the Grandpa Dez YouTube channel, but we're just gonna try this out and see how it goes. It's the same old me, same old Parker, but we're on a different station. This is the same network that we started on, so I think a lot of people will be familiar with both of us, and they'll be looking forward to hearing from you. So, but if you like it, subscribe to the thing, and maybe even go check out the Grandpa Dez YouTube channel, and check out some of the interviews and conversations I've had with different people, and subscribe to that one too. So I think unless you got anything else that you want to talk about, Parker, no? Okay, so for Parker, I'm Grandpa Dez, and this has been Cup of Joe with Grandpa Dez.